What's happening, guys? Jet Tila here, and I'm cooking Kosher Asian on JLTV. Today I'm going to be making for you what we're doing in the kitchen, which is a really fun menu. I'm going to show you how to make the best fried rice you've ever eaten. I mean, no big deal or anything. And I'm going to show you how to put together a very quick chicken teriyaki. I think these are fundamental recipes that I've been eating since I was a kid. There are very few ingredients, but maximum deliciousness. But a really quick bio. My family immigrated to the States in 1966, and we started Thai food in America. So before my family came, there was no Thai food. It's hard to wrap my head around. Who likes Thai food? Anyone enjoy? You're welcome. You're welcome. You're welcome. You're welcome. No, anyway, I was just a child, so I was lucky enough to see the Thai community come up around me. I was the kid when you walk into an Asian restaurant that was sleeping on the banquette. As he gets older, he polishes silverware. As he gets older, he cleans the bathroom and then washes the dishes. Basically, it's called free labor. That's what we call it in the Asian household. I went on to French culinary school and then Japanese culinary school. I've worked my way around the world. So I was a poor little kid from East LA, and now I get to hang out with you guys here. So that's a really short story. And some of you might be thinking, well, is this kosher? After culinary school, actually I had a really nice opportunity to cook for a family, and I would cook a Passover, I would cook a kosher, and it was nice to learn from their chef. And it was a big thing, like during Passover, she'd have all her guests come out, and she'd make me answer the door, my client. And she was like, look, I've got an Asian chef cooking Passover. Anyway. It's a true LA story. It's a great LA story. So I've made all the appropriate substitutes, and we can talk through them. The number one, the hardest ingredient to substitute, which in my 20s I was like, how do I do this, was oyster sauce, right? Oyster sauce I found actually pretty simple. Soy sauce, well, I found kosher soy sauce. There's chicken base. I've used it in matzo ball soup when I'm in a pinch. You can take chicken base, mix it with teriyaki sauce, and it tastes just like oyster sauce. And I'm going to prove that to you today. Anyway, I'll shut up and cook, shall I? Thank you. Yay, shut up, Jet. Woo! So let's start. I'm going to do two dishes back to back. If you have any questions, just throw them out. I actually can multitask. I can cook and talk at the same time, unlike some of my colleagues on Food Network. Anyway, there's going to be a lot of dumb jokes like that. Some of you will laugh and the other ones won't. Moving on. I'm using chicken thigh, and I've got one pan here, and I'm going to talk through it because you can't see into the pan. You will on a video or something like that. But I'm using a neutral oil. Okay, I have two oils here on my station. I have sesame oil, and I have a neutral oil, peanut, canola, grapeseed if you've got a lot of money in your pocket, avocado if you're rich, that's cool. Most people think sesame oil is the end-all be-all of Asian cooking, and it's not. Sesame oil, in my opinion, is more of a flavoring because it has a very low smoke point. At the same time, I'm also not going to use olive oil in the Asian kitchen much. The flavors just clash. So my pan's getting hot. I'm going to sear my chicken thighs. I like chicken thigh. I think it's got more flavor. I think it's got a lot more moisture. Chicken thigh, raise your hand. Who's chicken thighs? Who's chicken breast? Fancy pantses? Okay, I got you. That's fine. No big deal. All right. I'm just going to sear off my chicken thigh. I think it's important to what we call get the Maillard effect. Very fancy word. Fancy culinary word. Maillard effect just means browning. Okay? So I'm going to start the browning on this side. And you don't need to cook proteins 50-50. Oh, half here and then turn around half. As a restaurant chef, I'm looking for beauty. If it takes 60% to brown and then 40 to finish, that's how it's going to be, because I need to make a beautiful plate of food for you. How many sides of food do you see on a plate with your fingers up? How many sides? Someone says 2, someone says 1. When you look down at a plate, it's looking back up. How many sides are you looking at? There it is. I just got to nail one beautiful side. And if I screw it up, I've got one more chance to nail another beautiful side. All these little tricks. Moving on. So this is just going to brown. I'm going to finish this now. Actually add some more flavor. ginger and garlic, which we will call aromatics. Aromatics are critical for flavor, okay? And I want that to start to caramelize and start to marry in there. I'm gonna lower down the heat now. Chicken, duck, especially dark meat, they need to render. I want to really get that crispy, cook that fat out of it, all right? And so I'm not gonna disturb it I can peek. Oh, that looks really nice right there. That's perfect. All right, perfect. Okay, on this side, fried rice. One of my favorite dishes in the world. I'm getting punked right now because both of these don't have like a low setting. It's just, anyway, they're punking me in the kitchen. They're not giving me a low heat, so I gotta move faster. The secret to fried rice is a few things. Number one, neutral oil. Number two is eggs, right? You can make fried rice with fresh cooked rice. Most people think you need day-old rice. They weren't trained correctly, all right? That's the trick. If you hear a chef say, you need day-old rice, nah. I'm gonna show you how to make fried rice with fresh cooked hot rice. The secret is using eggs, okay? And I'm gonna show you what I mean. You see this white smoke? That's exactly what you want from oil. That means the oil is at about 450 degrees. It's a good sear temperature. Sear. When you hear the ch, that's what searing means. So onion, garlic, and ginger. And I want to get those flavors, right, moving around. And I want them to start to brown a little. They start to sweeten up. Again, it's that, what we call the Maillard effect, that browning effect. Here's the secret for fresh cooked rice in fried rice is you go rice right into wet egg. Right into wet egg. The wet egg surrounds the rice. It gives it a big old hug. It says, you're safe. You're safe, my dear. Don't worry, okay? And then what we're going to do is use the egg to coat the rice. And it literally kind of becomes like a little, either you can call it a skateboard or like a ice skate. But look, you can see the rice not sticking to the pan because the egg is kind of encapsulating it, and it makes it super fluffy. Vegetables is up to you. Who likes vegetables? Raise your hand. I didn't start eating vegetables until I was 30, so I start to appreciate them now. This can be anything. This is a way to clear the fridge. Oh, I've got a little broccoli, I've got some carrots, I've got some peas. You can use whatever you want. Seasoning tip. Soy sauce is what flavor? What flavor is soy sauce? It's mainly salty, right? Like if you put a ton of soy sauce in, all you're going to taste is soy, and it's going to be dark. Really great fried rice should not be soy laden. All right, so I'm going to add a little soy to my teriyaki first. I'm building a sauce. Japanese, I'm going to teach you a little Japanese language. Teriyaki. Translation, grill glaze. Yaki is to grill, teri is a glaze. So if you're looking in here, I'm getting a nice kind of bubbling and caramelization. I'm adding a little bit of sugar to that. In Hawaii, if you do a Hawaii style, you can do a little pineapple juice. You can get a little creative. You could do whatever you want. So I'm going to let that reduce to a glaze. And how do I know it's going to be a glaze? What constitutes a glaze, chefs? One more time. Shiny, brilliant. There's one more thing I'm looking for, not just the visual, but how about the texture? So what's a glaze feel like? It should feel. Shiny is more of a look. A glaze should be thickening. There you go. And we thicken by either reduction or by a thickener like starch. So we have two things at our disposal. So I put a little soy sauce in here, but here's the secret to really great Chinese food, and no one tells you this. I'm going to share the secret, and they're going to pull my Chinese restaurant card, but it's okay, it's worth it. I'll figure it out. Chicken powder. Powderized chicken base. We use a lot of that in the Chinese kitchen. It has a ton of flavor. Back in the day, a lot of older restaurants would use a lot of MSG, and we stopped all that. So now we're using chicken powder, and look at that, fluffy fried rice. I'm getting the teriyaki going, and that's what we're gonna have for lunch today. How's that look? Can you not wait to eat that? You're like, I can wait. I mean, I'm kind of hungry a little bit. Anyway, another thing, I judge a ton of shows on Food Network. Iron Chef, Beat Bobby Flay, Guys Grocery Games. Number one reason contestants get sent home. What would you think that is? Number one reason, doing a poor job. Yes, good guess. Yep. But in that doing a poor job, believe it or not, these young chefs now, they don't taste their food. I don't understand. They're like, oh, I'm just awesome. I'm tossing the food up because I look really cool. But they're not nailing the fundamentals, which is tasting. So before I serve you, I need to taste. And I'm just going to absolve myself. The chef in the kitchen is sending food out to you. So if you have any issues, you take it up with them. I'm going to make sure my food tastes good for me. But all right, you got to deal with them, all right? No, look. Yeah, yes, sir. Look, this one, gone. I'm not touching that. This one is the new one. Yeah. What do we call that? Double dipping. No double dipping. All right, man. Tough crowd. I like that. Okay, check out this teriyaki. I'm going to lift it up. Look at that glaze that's developed. That's luscious, isn't it? It's really kind of marrying with the natural fat in the chicken. All the schmaltz is kind of working with that sauce. Yeah, I could speak. Yeah, come on, guys. I'm born in LA. Come on. Anyway, so another thing here is now I'm going to use a new fork. And I'm going to dip a little bit of sesame oil because look how little I use. You want to use sesame oil sparingly because it is a seasoning and not a cooking oil, okay? So I'm happy there. I'm going to take a little clean fork taste into my teriyaki sauce, and I'm looking for these tiny little bubbles. Remember tiny bubbles? And that's telling me the sauce is reduced to a glaze. I'm good there. So let's plate up, shall we? I'm ready to plate up. So see how fast, I was really kind of cooking in real time here. If I wasn't gabbing most of the time, then I probably could be done even faster. I like to garnish with scallions. I love scallions and everything. And let's pour that here into the plate because I'm what's standing in the way between you and lunch. So 3/4 of you are like, hurry up, dude. The other quarter is like, hey, I'm kind of having a good time. I'm okay with it. But I made egg fried rice with, I did peas today, but that could be any veg. Now look at that caramelization. That's what I'm talking about. Right over there. I'm just saving this piece for my lunch right here. That's for me. And then I'm gonna do a little teriyaki. This is that grilled glaze right there. Ooh, yummers. All right, so there we go. Teriyaki fried rice. Super easy. Look at that. All right, I'll tell you a few more stories about my career since I've already given you the cooking demo and now that you're eating. So my family, again, we opened the first Thai grocery stores and the first Thai restaurants in the history of this country, right? I went off, like I said, to culinary school twice. I don't know what was wrong with me, first French and then Japanese. And some of my cool jobs that I've worked, and I'll work, I guess, chronologically. My first job out of culinary school was working at the LA Times food section. I was 22 years old and I knew I'd be cooking my whole life, so I wanted to go into journalism, kind of understand what it took to write recipes, photograph recipes. I went from there and worked for a company called Bon Appetit. Not the magazine, it's a big food service company. And a few of my cool jobs was I opened the first Asian cafe at Google. It's a tiny little company. Have you heard of it? It's a little digital company. So I was serving Asian food. I went from like 100 or 200 a night in a restaurant to doing 10,000 Googlers a day. So I had to understand how to make teriyaki and pad thai and drunken noodles and upscale to that point. But that's what I learned working at Bon Appetit. I was asked by Steve Wynn to open a hotel in Vegas called Encore Hotel. It was next to the Wynn Hotel. I was there for many, many years. While I was there, I was asked to compete on a show called Iron Chef. And that was my big television break. They asked me, who do you want to battle? And I said I wanted to battle the most fearsome Asian chef out there, and that was Iron Chef Morimoto. So I walked into Kitchen Stadium, I saw my idol, Iron Chef Morimoto, who I've been watching since the Japanese Iron Chefs. I walked up to Iron Chef Morimoto, I said, Chef Morimoto-san, this is an amazing honor to be battling you. He looks at me and he looks down at me and he goes, psh, Good luck, kid. It's like, man, that guy's a jerk. I was like, okay, man, you're not my idol for the next hour. You are my enemy. Let's do this. So we battled. And the way the show works is the chairman assigns you a secret ingredient, okay? And the secret ingredient for my episode was seaweed. And it was horrible because it basically favored the Iron Chef. And I understood very quickly. They brought me in so they could beat me up in front of 1 million people and make a big show of it. He did not know, though, that I trained in Japanese cuisine. And he also didn't know that I brought one of my best Japanese chefs. We're each allowed to bring 2 sous chefs. So 5 courses, 1 hour. We get down to, I made sushi against him. I did sushi against Morimoto, who's a sushi master. And then we get to the judging platform. The chairman looks down at the 2 of us and says, the winner of Iron Chef America battles seaweed is Chef. Guess who won? No, that jerk won. Anyway, but what happened was, here were the points. Iron Chef Morimoto, 50. Chef Tila, 48. Oh, is that close. So Morimoto-san, at the end of the battle, walks up to me. And he says, Jet-san. I was like, ooh, I'm a san now. I mean, I guess there's some respect finally. He's like, I don't know who you are, chef, but you did a great job. And from that day to this day, Morimoto and I have been very good friends. So I lost the battle, but I won the war because a month later, actually a few months later, I left Vegas. I was out of the cooking business. I met the woman I wanted to marry. And growing up in the business, I knew you couldn't be in the business and married at the same time. It just doesn't work. It really, because anyone in the food business in your career, anyone food business people, it basically consumes you. You can't do anything else but be in restaurants. I got a call from the Food Network people who were like, hey dude, do you want to do more television? And I was like, heck yeah. It's way easier than working in restaurants. So I did a show called Cutthroat Kitchen, which led to doing show Chopped and Beat Bobby Flay and Guys Grocery Games. And that's it. The last 10 years of my life have basically been in media. And I get to write cookbooks and do television and travel around and do these kinds of things. So there's the short story. I could go on. Kosher questions, I'm ready.
What do we do when a recipe calls for oyster sauce?
Remember the answer? My students already know. Students, do we remember what the sub for oyster sauce was? Anybody? So oyster sauce has incredible savoriness, unlike soy sauce. Oyster sauce has a good amount of sugar. In my opinion, oyster sauce is the most important Chinese seasoning sauce, more important than soy, because soy gives you 1 or 2 flavors. So the substitute for oyster sauce is teriyaki sauce, which is basically sugar and soy sauce, paired with chicken powder. And that's how I've taught a lot of people around the country how to substitute oyster sauce. So, yes, ma'am, in the back. And if someone can relay the question in case I can't hear it. Yes. Great question. So the question was, she'd like to know more about chicken powder, why you need it, and where to buy it. So in the 80s, when a lot of Asian restaurants started transitioning out of MSG, okay? MSG, believe it or not, is actually a commonly used ingredient for the last, say, 80 years, okay, in Asia. My grandma cooked with it, my parents did. I stopped using it when I started opening large restaurants that served, in the States. But that flavor enhancement that MSG created a standard, right? And in the business, I call it the gold standard, right? They created a very specific flavor taste expectation. When we started to get away from MSG, we needed to create an alternative to that. And that's when Chinese chicken powder started to come in. That did not have MSG. So they found another formulation, and the only way to substitute that savory profile was to use real meat. And that's when they would use dehydrated chicken. And where you can find it, the easiest way, it's a very light product to ship. So you could buy it online for $5. You could go in Orange County, you have a lot of Vietnamese markets and a lot of Asian markets. They all will have them, I promise you. So there you go. Thank you very much for having me today. I hope you guys had a great lunch. If anybody is on the Facebook thing, I am Jet Tila. I'm very easy to find. Thanks so much for your time. We'll see you guys. Have a great afternoon.